Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Small Business Small Talk, Season 2 of 2020. This has been an awesome year for Small Business Small Talk. I've had great guests, great conversations, and that's kind of what it's all about, is to be able to share with our listeners other stories and other backstory, like the backstories of what they love to do, why they do what they do, what it is that they do, and what they're trying to accomplish in the world. It's to help educate you, empower you to do more with your business, and you're probably entertained while you're at it. So that's a little bit of what Small Business Small Talk is about. I am your host, Christy Smallwood. I'm the Chief Strategic Guide for Eagle Eye Strategies based in Louisville, Kentucky. I do a lot of strategy first approach to business coaching, marketing, training and development, and facilitation. So, but I also want to take a quick moment because Eric is another one of my guests that is also from the Chamber of St. Matthews, which the Chamber of St. Matthews, because I'm an affinity partner, is my sponsor partner for Small Business Small Talk. So I want to give a huge shout out to the Chamber of St. Matthews for being such a great partner for this kind of a program and podcast. So with that, I definitely want to introduce you to my guest. I have gotten to know Eric Pohler with Precision Home Inspections Impressions. Let me try that again. Precision Home Inspections over the course of this new virtual way of networking. So I hadn't actually met Eric in person yet prior to coffee chats on Friday mornings with the Chamber of St. Matthews. Now, if you guys haven't heard of our coffee chats yet, we get a little crazy sometimes. It's just fun. It's a spirit week, right? So we tend to loosen up the guard, let down the guard a little bit and get to know each other at a totally different level on those coffee chat networking events. So, but with Eric and Eric Pohler, Precision Home Inspections, I get this mixed up all the time because I keep wanting to go back to your polar bear moment on the animal day at coffee chat. I thought that was brilliant because last name Pohler, Pohler, but you turned it into polar bear. That was fantastic. Exactly. So, Eric, we've heard a lot about you and your family over. We haven't. This Small Business Small Talk is not. So, please tell us more about you, how you got to do what you do, and what is it that you actually do in the world.
Well, Chrissy, thank you for having me on today. I really do appreciate that. And again, a shout out to the St. Matthews Commerce. I am a member of that. So if y'all are looking for a great commerce, please look at the St. Matthews. We have a great group. I started this business about 3 years ago, almost 4 now. And I got to the point where I got tired of working for somebody. Granted, I have to answer to the buyers and sometimes the sellers, but I'm my own boss. I make my own schedule, make my own rules, and I have to follow guidelines, of course, per the state, because I am a licensed inspector, which is required through Kentucky. But the majority of it, I just wanted the freedom of my own business. And what better way to express a business and yourself as to start one up from the ground up, like I did with Precision Home Inspections. How I got into it is for the last 20 or so years, I've been in sales. Yes, I am that old, but I've been doing sales. I started out in furniture sales, and then I moved into basically construction sales. I've sold roofs, I've sold windows, siding, doors, flooring. If it has gone in, on, or around a home, I've probably sold it. The only thing I have not sold is landscaping, so in HVAC stuff. But so when I was looking for a business to create, I bought my house and my home inspector came out, inspected the house, and I thought he way overcharged me and just basically making it sound like the house was falling apart, and it wasn't. And when I started really looking at things I could fix on my own, I'm like, this isn't that bad, but he made it sound like it was the end of the world and this house should be condemned. I thought I could do a better job. So my goal is not to scare buyers or shy away from a house, because it doesn't matter if the house was built 100 years ago or yesterday. All homes have issues.
Right.
And I just want to make that clear. Yes, we are going to find things and we are going to note it. But I also wanted to educate the home buyer on that. Hey, just because it's not right doesn't mean it can't be fixed. And
Absolutely.
there's some things that you don't even need to really fix. I just have to note it per my licensing. There's a lot of little things. I always make a joke about it in the home because 98% of the time, the stove or the oven, if you pull on it, it tips forward. Well, it's supposed to have an anti-tip device. It's a $5 hinge from Home Depot. And
So
typically,
wait a second. My stove's not supposed, like my dishwasher's not supposed to move forward either.
well, it's just mostly the stove because if a child opens the door and stands on the door, the stove can flip over on top of the child.
Why would the kid be standing on the stove door? But of course, I asked that question not being a parent myself. So,
Well, I put it this way: a young child, they'll do things to get to a cookie or whatever. If it's my kids, they're all teenagers. If they stand on an oven door and it falls on them, they deserve it. So that's where I draw the line. But and I have five of them. So
right. So you talk about little things like this anti-tip device thing. So when you go through and you're inspecting a home, you're not just doing the check. It doesn't sound to me like you're just filling out a checklist and passing it off to the person that needs it.
well, I mean, technically it is a checklist because I have to follow a certain procedure per the state of Kentucky and the licensing board. I have to look at. There's over 300 points of contact that I have to look at in the house. So, and again, nothing's correct. In today's world, is bedrooms. We'll take any bedroom for example. If it was built before 2010, there's a thing called an art fault breaker, which basically works like your GFCIs in your bathrooms or your kitchens. But they're supposed to be installed at every bedroom, and it trips at the main breaker in the panel box. Well, until 2010, that wasn't required. Well, now it is required. So it's I have to note it, but I'm not that type of inspector where I recommend replacing the entire electrical system because something that wasn't done more than 10 years ago. It's not to me, it's not a huge problem, but I have to note it because it's part of my licensing to do that. So I have to be up on top of the current situations that the homes are in today.
Wow. So what's been so you've been doing this for 3 years. Okay, what's been one of your most interesting experiences so far inspecting a home?
Oh wow. Well, I mean, there's probably some stuff I should say out on a public forum like this, but I go into a lot of different types of homes, vacant and occupied. It's the occupied homes where you run into the weird situation. Certain poles in a living room, and that's not a structural pole. So
Okay.
I found that a few times. Certain toys that shouldn't be left out in the open. We won't discuss the details.
Not made for children. Gotcha.
Right, right, and I don't think it was a neck massager. So,
Okay. Got it.
you run into that stuff and different types of paraphernalia. I mean, it's like people know I'm coming, so can't you put this stuff away? It's just one of those things. And then just as far as defects, I mean, I've seen all sorts of things. I've seen where a furnace didn't have 3 foot of venting from the attic to the roof, so all that carbon monoxide was going into the house.
Oh wow.
Luckily it was a brand new building. Nobody would have lived there, but like I told my people, if you were home, you would be dead. So, and that was on a brand new build. That's why I always recommend it doesn't matter how old the house is, you need a home inspection because it could be 5:30 on a Friday and that HVAC guy's like, yeah, I'm not running that rest of that pipe. I want to go get my beer. So, there are a lot of hazards that I find. Lots of safety issues. Go into homes, there's no smoke detectors throughout the house. there's supposed to be one on each level. More importantly, in Jefferson County, you're supposed to have one in every bedroom. But for a real estate transaction, it's one per floor. Hopefully that will change soon. But I found a couple small gas leaks that I had to shut down and call the gas company, and people were living in the house and didn't even know. So
wow.
it's always best to get a home inspection. If you don't use my company, please use somebody. But if you want the best home inspection, you want to call me.
So at what point do we call you? Like, why would we call you?
Well, basically, the way the real estate transaction works, the first thing everybody does is they have to get a pre-approval, and then they start talking to a realtor. Now here's where it gets kind of confusing with home inspectors, because that realtor is going to say, well, use this guy, and it could be XYZ inspection company. Well, you can go with that person by all means, but you don't have to. You can choose your own home inspector. You don't have to go who the realtor says. The realtor might they're supposed to give you a list of 3 that they recommend per the ethical rules of real estate. Some even don't even do that. They just say, hey, this is my guy. You need to use him. I disagree with that concept. I market to realtors, but I more market to the general public, because I don't want people thinking I work for that realtor, because I don't want them thinking I want to sugarcoat the home and then they move in and there's issues.
Right.
Because I don't work for the realtor. I work for the person that's paying me the money, and that's usually the buyer. So, yes, I get great referrals. There's a lot of realtors that refer me, and I do highly appreciate every realtor out there for that. But, I want to make sure that people understand, as home inspectors, we don't work for the realtor, and there's sometimes they have such a good relationship that home inspector could miss something because they don't want that realtor to lose the deal.
Right.
Unfortunately, that happens, and I don't work that way. I don't sugarcoat it, and I don't accidentally leave something off just so the realtor can get their commission. And realtors that are like that, they're no good to me anyways. I want people that are ethical and they truly believe that they're in the best interest of their buyer or seller.
It would be nice if they were, if every one of us worked our business that way. It would be great.
Well, especially in the world that we live in today, and we've seen it on the news constantly. In every profession, there's your good and there's your bad. And unfortunately, people always look at the bad, and that's what they harp on.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of good out there too. It doesn't matter what profession it is. You're going to have your give and take, good and bad, pros and cons. So, I try to be the best I can be, and make sure you get a full education on the home that you are buying.
So tell me something that you really love or enjoy about what it is that you do.
Well, it's different every day. So I'm not the type to sit in an office. I can't do that. Even when I was selling real, furniture, it was different every day because it's different people, but I was in the same building every day. I'm in different homes. I see, you name it, I've seen it. So
as we've touched on.
So even a dead body. I mean, if we would go into specifics, I've seen it all. So, there was a homeless guy dead in a backyard. But anyways, kind of sad. But, you name it, I've seen it. The good, the bad, and the ugly, and just the absolute strange. I could probably write a book on stuff I've seen in homes.
That totally fits your world, though, Eric. You bring a lot of that great conversation to coffee chats. So
I try.
So what's been, so you've been in business for a handful of years now. What's been one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
Well, I jumped into this 110%. So the first year and a half was a true struggle. I'm surprised my kids haven't killed me yet, because money was extremely tight. And of course, like I said, I have 5 kids, so they're all in private schools. So trying to make sure the schools were paid and the standard bills were paid. So, but that's the life of starting any business, and anybody that has started their business is going to tell you the first couple of years is the toughest. They say around year 3, if you make it to that, you really start seeing a huge incline. And a year and a half in, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to see that incline. This is crazy. And all of a sudden, even though we're in 2020 and it's the crazy year, I've been busy since the beginning of the whole COVID mess. So, the first month or two were probably a little slower, but overall, it was, overall, it's been a great time. And my business is actually, I'm booked up this week and I'm beginning to book up next week. So,
Nice.
I truly appreciate everything. And I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully in a year or so I can start hiring, and then I don't have to do crawl spaces no more. Put some young kid in there.
Get the young guy to do it.
Right. The young skinny guy.
Oh, back in the day, man, back in the day. So, okay, to take that jump, like you've been a salesperson for a long time, now you're your own business owner. Surely to goodness you've had some influencers in your life that have just inspired you or motivated you to do certain things. Who would you say some of your influencers have been?
Okay, so there's throughout life I've always had influencers that that I keep surrounding myself with. My grandfather was a big one. He was a hardworking man. He POW in World War II, so he knows life struggles. And before he passed away, just talking to him about just knowledge of life, and he never talked about the war, but he gave you a lot of life insights. He goes, his is live it to the fullest and work hard. So, and then do everything you do for your family. And I truly believe that. And that carried over to my dad, of course. And my dad is like my best friend. We talk daily. I think sometimes he wish I don't call him, but so I look towards my dad for a lot of things. My biggest thing growing up was my dad constantly was working on something. He always said that the house we lived in was built by 3 blind men and a disabled. So, and that's not no offense to anybody out there. Because nothing was done right in that house. And he was always fixing something. And my philosophy when I was a child was, why don't you hire somebody to do that, Dad? And he told me, he goes, if you put your own work into it, you're going to get something more out of it. And it took me a long time to realize what he was talking about. Now being a dad myself, a homeowner, and now even running this business, I truly see where, something that actually sunk in many, many years ago when I was that child saying, hire somebody, Dad, because I'm the one that doesn't want to hire somebody now. So,
right.
do the work that I can do.
Well, it does mean more. Like you're creating your business from scratch. Similar situation over on this side of the table. It does mean more when I know I've created that thing that people are getting a lot of value out of.
Right.
Yeah, it just means a lot more that it's providing something really good, not just for the marketplace in general, but I've changed somebody's life because of something I've created. And just like You're providing for your family, that's sure, but you're also providing this much needed service for the next family that's creating something for their home and their legacy. So you play a part in everybody doing something, good for that next stage of things. That's awesome. And I love to hear about your grandpa. That's a POW. That's amazing that he's had great live life to the fullest insight. That was wonderful.
He did, and the craziest story out of that whole, and not getting into the whole background. Like I said, he never talked about the war. His comment was always, and I'm a huge World War II buff. I love reading about World War II just because of him. And that generation, he would be over 100 years old today, but that generation, I did my job, and that was for him, and it wasn't for us. He defended our country, and basically, long story short, he was shot down over Germany.
Oh,
But what saved his life, he was a mechanic in the plane, and what saved his life and most of his crew members in that plane was my great grandparents, his parents, came from Germany. They escaped World War One. So when he was born here in the States, the only thing they spoke in their house was German. So when the plane went down, he got out speaking German to all the German military that was surrounding the plane, and they thought he was a high-ranking officer, and he was just a mechanic. So,
that's fabulous.
That's just one of the crazy stories we've heard from other people that were there, and to me, he is the true hero. So he sacrificed everything he had, even though it was in the 40s. I truly look up to him. I know he's looking down on me today. So, that's my grandfather in a nutshell.
Look, that is being quick on your feet. That is awesome.
Yep.
And honestly, don't you have to do that as what you do, and you're owning your own business? You got to be quick on your feet most days anyway, because you just
Pretty
never
much.
know what's going to happen.
Right.
And the added benefit of you're walking into an unknown territory on a daily basis. You never know what's going to happen. Like, you've already shared some really interesting moments here with us on the podcast. I can't imagine. Well, no, I can. I used to work with an auctioneer a handful of years ago. And so we would do those. We would come kind of sort of assess the inventory, if you will. So there was a lot of things that we got to saw in the process of that. You're like, oh, we ain't touching that drawer. Not happening. So
Right.
and we, the haunted houses, those were interesting as well. Learned a lot about, we would actually bring some ghost hunters into a couple of places back in the day. So have you read into anything like that interesting?
I mean, you always see the Geico commercial where you go upstairs in the attic and it's full of mannequins. That does happen.
Okay. Oh, no.
Just a lot of a lot of times people forget their stuff is in their attic, and they just leave it, or they just don't want it, and they just leave it up there. And some of it can be creepy, dismembered baby dolls. You see a lot of those. Why they keep that stuff in the attic, I don't know, but
and that's where all horror movie scripts start.
Right. Absolutely.
So, okay, what big advice, other than what you've already shared from your grandpa, live life to the fullest and work hard, what other big advice have you gotten from people that helps you now in your business?
Surround yourself with positivity. You want, I try. It took a long time for me to really realize this, but I do a lot of, I drive a lot, so I'm constantly listening to podcasts or different folks on audio. And one of the biggest people that I read and try to learn about is Grant Cardone, who is a multi-billionaire that basically was a drug addict in his teens and was nothing until the age of 25 when he thought, hey, I'm going to turn my life around, and started in used car sales. And then he's built these multi-billion-dollar companies. And his biggest thing is get rid of the naysayers. Get rid of the people that say you can't do it. You don't need those people in your life. And I have them in my own family that think I'm doing, it's crazy that I'm trying to do this home inspection thing. I have to put that onto the back burner. Yes, I love them to death, and they're part of my family. And, even just strangers. I would never start my own company. That doesn't work. 1 in 5 fail. Well, you can't listen to that, and I don't. My thing is I'm going to be the best home inspector, and eventually, within the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to be franchising this business. So hopefully, Precision Home Inspections will be nationwide. with
That's
my goal.
fantastic. That's awesome. Okay, so what does success mean for you?
Well, I mean, everybody says money is successful, and to me, that's not true. Success is doing something that you truly enjoy while making a living at it. And it's not all about how much dollars you put in your pocket because I told people from the beginning I'm not in this business to get rich. I'm in this business to educate and help homebuyers make the best decision on their largest investment they'll ever make. Uh, and that's my philosophy, and that's also my mission statement. Uh, I want to make sure people are educated, and that's what gives me fulfillment. It's not the money's good and it pays my bills and keeps me fed, as you can see right here. But it's the fulfillment of helping people is what I get the true kick out of.
And I know you've already said you drive a lot. For those who are only listening, yeah, he's in his vehicle right now, and we're having this conversation via Zoom on his cell phone. So,
Yep. I'm about to, as soon as I get off here, I'm heading to another home inspection. I got tied up at one. I thought I'd be done by noon, and I literally locked the door up 5 till noon. So here I am.
it all works out. It always does. So,
Yep.
what's been one of your favorite moments that you've had so far in business?
I mean, there's a lot of them because the the people that leave the reviews, especially the 5-star reviews, or the ones that I guess you can call it bragging rights, but the ones that say Eric did a truly fantastic job. That's what puts a smile on my face because that I know that I've actually helped somebody, and there's actually been people that because of my home inspection report, they've turned down the house, but they keep using me. I've had one couple use me 4 times just because the
Wow.
house wasn't right. And once they got the fourth time was the charm, and they moved in and they sent me a really nice letter saying how much they appreciated that they finally found their true dream home, and the first 3 weren't it. So that's the stuff that brings joy and a big smile to my face because I know that I helped somebody make the right decision.
Nice. So, if you were to turn around and give somebody else advice in their business, if they were struggling with something, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, it goes back to get rid of the negativity. You know, everybody wants to listen to the negativity. We all heard the presidential debate, and that was just a debacle. So
Right.
you got to get rid of the negativity. And if somebody's telling you can't do it, prove them wrong. If you put the mindset in, hey, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to do this, then you're going to be successful. But if you're listening to that person, it doesn't matter if it's your mom, your dad, your grandfather, or the stranger next door saying, hey, you're crazy. And if you keep that in the back of your mind that you're crazy, it ain't going to happen for you. So get rid of the naysayers, and get rid of the negativity, and prove them all wrong that hey, this is what I want to do, and if it doesn't work out, you know it doesn't work out. Then get up and do it again. Try something else. Einstein failed, or I'm sorry, Edison failed 200 times on trying to make the light bulb. And somebody asked him once, hey, you failed 200 times. He goes, no, I just found 200 different ways not how to make a light bulb.
Right.
So, um, it's one of those things. Michael Jordan was told back in high school that you will never be a professional athlete because he didn't have the skills. And what did he do? He went home and told his dad, I want to practice, put up a basketball goal. And he practiced for hours in his backyard. And we can all argue about who the greatest is, but Michael Jordan, by far in my generation, is the greatest basketball player that ever lived. So, don't let those people say you can't do it because it's just not worth it in the end.
So let me ask you, Eric, because I appreciate this line of conversation tremendously because part of what I do with strategy is and business coaching is help people shift thinking But we have different approaches to that. So even just in my industry between coaches, but there's also a difference between men and women. And I know how hard it is for me having 50,000 things in my head at one time, get rid of the negativity. Like the tools that I have to use are different. Share with me what do you do to get rid of the negativity? Like what is a tactic or two that you implement to say back off?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when I start hearing the negativity or that, hey, you're crazy trying to do the home inspection, I go to, and it's just a mindset for me. And I guess it goes back to having 5 kids, because when they're acting up and they're acting goofy, I can tune them out and I don't hear anything.
You
But
two have 5 children all at the same time?
well, they're 3 are mine and 2 are hers, but they're all within the same age frame.
Right, but I mean,
So,
you're able to tune out 5 at once. Like that's a talent.
yeah, Debbie asks me all the time. She goes, "Don't you hear the commotion in the back?" I'm like, "No, I tuned it out. Sorry. What are they saying?" 'Cause I don't have a clue.
See, that is one difference between guys and gals. Like we are wired to listen to all of it at once, and guys
Right.
shut it off. That's why I'm asking, what do you do?
It to me, it's just a mindset. But to really get away from it, I'll put in my earbuds and I'll listen to a podcast or something positive, or I'll put it in an audio book, or I'll jump on coffee chat and make fun of somebody.
It's a great tool.
Pick on Josh or something. I don't know. So, you just gotta have fun with it, and you just gotta have that mindset where you're not going to listen to it. And I know it is very hard to get into that right mindset. It's taken me years to do it, and I think that's what made me so successful at sales. Every sales job I've had, I was always the number 1 or number 2 person in the company. I have multiple awards for sales. I've been flown out to Denver for sales team recognition. So it's it's really hard. But if you surround yourself with the right people, all that other negativity kind of gets pushed back, and it finally gets tuned out.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a good support system myself, and I surround myself with a lot of amazing other business owners in my network. And of course, that's one of the ways that we've handled coffee chat is like no negativity allowed. Like we shut that down pretty quickly in that group. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's been real fun. So, okay, we're coming to the end of the actual interview. Do you have any last parting words that you would tell our audience?
No, but the only thing I got to say is if you're in business and you truly love what you do, keep going forward. I know 2020 has been tough, especially on a lot of small businesses. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it that much. In the very beginning I did, but, just keep pushing forward, because we're all going to get through this together, and surround yourself with great coaches. Every great sports player is going to tell you that they had a coach. And, I have a lot of people I turn to for advice, and that I know is going to lead me in the right direction. So if you don't have that, find somebody like Christy, or somebody that does that type of coaching, and really get involved and bounce ideas off each other. That's the only way you're going to be successful. You can't do it by yourself. Nobody can.
No.
So surround yourself with the proper people. Get into networking groups. Join a crazy coffee chat. We got a guy that likes to wear wigs, so come and join us. We'll have some fun, and you might even see me with my shirt off one day. I don't know.
Or dressed as a polar bear. You just never know.
You never know.
So Eric, how do I get, if people are more interested in your services, or like how do they contact you? What's a good way to connect you?
Well, you can always give me a call at 502-619-1727 or text. Text is a lot easier because I respond to those right away. I also have a website, Precision Home Inspections, ky.com. And just make sure you put an S on the end of inspections, because everybody leaves that off. And those are the two best ways to get in touch with me, or my email, which is eric@precisionhomeinspections.ky.com.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, I'll make sure all that's in the description as well. So as people are looking at things online or as it comes up, they'll see the description in that and they can kind of click through if they have more interest to get connected with you. So Eric, thank you so much for your time today. I want you to hang on after I finish up the little spiel here. But to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, please subscribe to this and whatever channel that you prefer to listen to. We're in Spotify, iTunes, all of the fun things. We're also on YouTube, and we have the Facebook page. So don't forget to check us out there as well, because if you'd like to see our bright, shiny faces, we do record this in video as well as audio so that you can watch us and listen to us pretty much everywhere. So with that, remember to subscribe to Small Business Small Talk. I have been your host, Christy Smollett, and I do want to give another shout out to, we've talked about Coffee Chat quite a bit, but the Chamber of St. Matthews is our sponsor partner for Small Business Small Talk podcast. And we appreciate them tremendously because they are a great group of people to be associated with. So with that, remember, if you even have to ask Alexa to play the latest episode, by golly, she'll do it. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you, hear you, listen to you at the, or actually you're going to listen to us at the next episode of Small Business Small